It's time now for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news. This is the Southwest Outdoors Report.
Hi everyone, welcome into the show. A few weeks ago, plentiful rains across eastern and southern Oklahoma did some tremendous things for the lakes, rivers, and streams in that part of the state. Many of the reservoirs went from being extremely low for a long period of time to full and in some cases completely overflowing. One of the lakes that benefited from those rains is the lake you see just over my left shoulder. Welcome to Sardis Lake. It is located just north of the town of Clayton, Oklahoma, right in the Kiamichi Mountains, south and east of the city of McAllister. Sardis has largemouth bass, white bass, walleye, catfish, crappie, and several other species. And on today's show, we're going to take the Nitro Z8 out and do a little scouting around. The first time I've been on Lake Sardis in over 15 years, since way back in my outdoor trails days. So it's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to be along for the ride, and while I'm doing that, you get to go around the region for your latest fishing reports from the rest of Oklahoma, all of Louisiana, Texas freshwater, and all along the Texas Gulf Coast with your saltwater reports as well. I'm excited about it. Let's get the Nitro launched into Sardis Lake and we take you back to the FSN studios. Here is Julie with your weekend plan.
The Salooner tables are forecasting poor conditions for Saturday and fair conditions for Sunday. It could be a good chance for some night fishing with peak gamefish activity taking place close to sundown in a moon that is 84% visible. Look for sunrise to take place at 6:52 with sunset happening at 8:10. We'll be right back with all of the current fishing reports from around the Southwest. And I'll have this week's Whataburger Ask the Pro question with Shaw Grigsby.
The Southwest Outdoors Report is brought to you by COSTA Sunglasses. See what's out there. By Luz, setting a new standard in fishing performance. Feel the difference. By Strand Fishing Lines, the standard of dependability. And by Strike King Lures, #1 in fishing.
Welcome back everybody. We're on Sardis Lake right now and I've gotten out here and got a little fiasco going. I hooked a fish on a buzzbait, the very first thing, and the fish turned around, ran straight under the boat and got me around the prop. Look at this. Got me around the prop and I'm having to hand over hand this fish in. It's a good fish too. Good bass. There. How many times do you see that? Good grief. What a fiasco. Good bass. Good solid 4-pound type fish on a buzzbait. You can see that's my Strike King. I believe that's a tour grade buzzbait. And he got a whole jaw full of it. There you go. That is a Sardis bass early here in the morning, and holy mackerel, I can't believe I even got that fish in. Hand over hand, primitive fishing right there, just like they do down in the Amazon with those hand lines. I just had to, you do what you got to do out here. So we're going to let that fish go back. And goodbye. Oh my gosh, some of the things that happened to me out in a boat. I keep saying it, but you stay out here long enough and you see everything. I want to show you a quick thing here. This lake is it's stained, it's off color, it's kind of muddy water. So what I did was tied on a buzzbait. I want to show you a couple of shots here of some of this grass that's growing. It's up in about 2.5, 3 feet of water, real shallow, especially for hot summertime like this. But just going along throwing a buzzbait in some of that shallow grass, and the fish didn't even make a splash. He just ran up there and kind of sucked it down real gently off the surface. Turned around and just ran straight under the boat and straight back behind my Mercury Optimax there. Hey, those Optimaxes are good for something besides just power in the boat. They're good for landing 4-pound largemouth bass. But I know this thing's dependable, but it helped me there. What I did was ran back here, tilted the motor all the way up, climbed out, and grabbed that line off the prop It's still around the prop right now. I'm gonna have to be real careful and get it loose and just hand line that fish in. All right, I gotta get regrouped and reorganized here. I'm all discombobulated, but let's take you to Brian Hughes down in Texas, see what the fishing reports are there, and I'll get myself organized back here and get back to fishing on Sardis Lake.
Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Camo-Ramic. Camo for your truck, not your clothes. Now I want to revisit the whole river situation because it's still hot summertime fishing in Texas. So let's go out on the Trinity. And of course, when I do that, I like to go down around the Livingston area and fish for the big alligator gar. Now a word here about respect. These are not trash fish. I'm talking about monster, trophy-sized alligator gar, and they deserve just a little bit of respect. They're hard fighting, great trophies, and they make great pictures. But for goodness sakes, please practice catch and release on these practically prehistoric monsters. Now you'll need some heavy-duty gear, heavy braided line, wire leaders, big hooks, and a big hunk of chicken. You'll fish a live bait style near the bottom in a bend if you can find one with some current flow. You may need to search the internet for some help with gar guides on the lake to kind of get you started. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Camo-Ramic. Be sure and check out the blog on the website each and every week. Now let's check in with Mr. Bill Olson. He's on the coast.
Hi folks, this week's report is brought to you by Port Aransas on Mustang Island, the fishing capital of Texas, where anglers enjoy pristine bays, 18 miles of surf, and the deep blue waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Plus the local restaurants will even cook your catch come sundown. Come fish and play Texas Island style. For more information, visit portaransas.org. Well, winds have continued to be fickle on the upper coast. Sometimes they were variable and even maintaining a westerly influence. That has kept tides low and the water off color. Once we get past this weekend, next week's forecast calls for an early cool front. While it won't dramatically drop water temperatures, it will make it more pleasant to be on the water. So on the upper coast, fish the cleanest water you can find near deeper water. On Sabine, that would be the clam beds on the Louisiana side. Don't forget the birds on Sabine as well as Galveston. Galveston's deeper reefs and well pads remain good options. Out of Freeport, play the tides around the mouths of back lakes that feed into the intercoastal waterway. Fish the surf out of Matagorda and Port O'Connor when the winds are light. The Port Aransas jetties and Pack Creek Channel jetties have been good for a variety of fish, including redfish, trout, even mangrove snapper. Also fish the deeper grass in the Lydia Ann Channel. Baffin's south shoreline has given up some solid trout, even though the water has been off color. Rattling baits are best. Port Isabel has lots of options, including longbar, south of Cullens and South Bay. Live or cut baits and artificial lures have all worked. This weekend, both Saturday and Sunday have a double tide schedule of 2 high and 2 low tides each day. I'm Bill Olson, and I'll see you on the coast.
Hey, welcome back to Sardis Lake in east central Oklahoma, everyone. The lake is just north of Clayton, Oklahoma, and south and east of McAllister. Now, we showed you catching bass earlier this morning on the miles and miles of shallow weed beds that line this lake. We caught them on a buzzbait and then later in the day on a shallow running crankbait off the outside edges. There's another major way you can catch bass on this lake, and it's right behind me. You can see right here to our left are lots and lots of standing trees. Now, this lake has 3 major arms, and every arm is loaded with standing timber. So you can come up in these arms and pitch and flip and cast plastic worms, biffle bugs, and rubber leg jigs to the bases of all of these trees and have a great chance to catch a nice bass. Let me show you one of those. This is Roger Hayes. He's a good friend of mine. He lives here in Oklahoma. He fishes on Sardis Lake quite a bit. He caught this beast of a bass, one of the major arms, casting a plastic worm up against the base of one of these standing trees. So you can see that it can be a very, very productive way to catch bass on this lake. You start early in the morning on those weed beds, and then once the sun gets overhead, move out to these trees. Next up, let's check on Gary Dollahan and all your lake news fishing reports from the state of Oklahoma for this week.
The recent lake record smallmouth bass for Keystone Lake, yes, Keystone Lake, 4.5 pounds by Ron Miller, caught on a hardbait serves as a good example of how important the smallmouth bass fishing has become here in Oklahoma. Lots of smallmouth bass showing up all across the state. In a lot of places they really haven't done much appearing before, such as Grand Lake, Hudson Lake, and a lot of others. But you know what? Our smallmouth stay record, 8 pounds 7 ounces, is a big fish that came from Latonka by Ryan Wasser, March 2012. But you know, even in the recent events, a lot of our Oklahoma fishermen are doing well by traveling elsewhere because of what they have learned practicing and targeting smallmouth bass here in the state. Good examples, Tommy Biffle won a recent bass event up in Wisconsin on smallmouth bass. Just last week, Jason Christie in the New York Bassmaster event finished 13th by drop shotting for smallmouth 40 and 50 feet deep, which he says is a technique that he fine-tuned on Lake Tenkiller. Yes, you can target smallmouth bass in a lot of our lakes: Tenkiller, Texoma, Eufaula, Skytook, just to name a few. You can catch smallmouth specifically fishing for them. George Tolson did the same thing recently on a trip up north. Caught a lot of smallmouth bass, as did the Torkelson family from this area also. They went up there, they were drop shotting biffle bugs and hammered some really beautiful smallies. Lake conditions across the state right now, this is for the first time in several years that all of the state has had some rain. We're excited about that, but we do have some waters up as a result of it. Especially in the northeast, we have some lakes that are up double digit. Lakes like Oologah and Gibson are really pushing that 10-foot and above boundary. Check out those lake levels. Go to southwestoutdoorsreport.com. Click on my photo. I've got a link on my webpage there. Check it out. But one thing about it, you can't catch them if you don't go.
Our COSTA Catch of the Week contest has been a big hit this year. We have got photos pouring in from all over the region from thousands of our viewers, and we can never get to all those. Only one a week can actually be the winner. So what we're going to start doing is just showing a few of these that weren't actual winners, but are still good photos from good fans of ours all over our 4-state region.
Southwest Outdoors Report is brought to you by Exide AGM Marine Batteries. Starts like new, stays like new longer. By Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland Lures. With our baits, a good day of fishing is in the bag. By Motor Guide Trolling Motors, engineered for anglers. By Whataburger, just like you like it. And by Nitro Performance Bass Boats, pure performance.
Welcome back to Lake Sardis, everyone. It's been a very difficult day for me so far. I only had a few hours to fish, and I did manage to catch some fish, but I'm just about out of time. But let me explain something to you I learned about Lake Sardis that very well may help you put bass in the boat if you'd like to make a trip here. Now, as you saw, we started early fishing grass beds, and I want to show you this. All the way around the shoreline of Sardis Lake, there are miles and miles and miles of this shallow grass. It's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because the bass will get up in it early in the morning, late in the evening, and at night. The bad thing is, since it's only about 2 feet deep, once that sun gets high overhead like it is right now, those bass will pull out of that grass and back off a ledge. Now, what I discovered, just off the outside edge of all of these grass beds, there's a ledge that falls from 2 feet down to 6 feet. It's perfect for a Strike King KVD square bill crankbait. Now that's the one I was throwing. I was paralleling the edge of the grass, so I would throw it down the edge, rod tip down, and then drag it down that 2 to 6 foot ledge. I hung 3 good quality bass, 3 to 4 pounders. Every one of them didn't get a good hook set, and they came up and jumped off before I could get the camera up and get them on the show to show you. But I learned that you can catch these bass under high sky conditions fishing that outside ledge. Learn that, come to Lake Sardis, and I think you could do real well. Let's check in right now with Louisiana for this week.
I tell you what, as far as the fishing goes, let's talk about freshwater. Let's talk about rivers this week. We got the Sabian River, Calcasieu River, got Red River, got a lot of rivers in Louisiana, and also Texas and everywhere else. But river fishing is good right now, but keep in mind, All it takes is 3 or 4 days of heavy rains and that's messed up. Right now the rivers are pretty, they're clear. Small crankbaits, crawfish colors working really well. Also little tiny creature baits. By creature baits I mean the little bitty plastics. Throw them on very lightweight and you should pick up a lot of fish. Right now they're having tournaments every week here on the Calcasieu River and on the Sabian River, and they're coming in with some nice bass off the river. So don't pass up river fishing. It's very good. As far as saltwater action goes, well, you know, Captain Kevin's catching them. I gave him a call this morning. They had 4 or 5 boats out there. They all seem to be catching their limit of redfish right now. Now they're going after the speckled trout. Speckled trout still hitting under the birds. Popping cork, bass assassin plastics underneath there, about 18 inches is working really well. Still catching a lot of fish on live shrimp for the people that don't mind throwing live bait. Talked to Captain Bill Lake down in Houma, Louisiana. Bill's been limiting out the speckled trout every day. They're catching them all on live bait. Over in Delacroix, Louisiana, Captain Chris Pike said they're catching limits of redfish, but they're going into shallow water marshes. He said the grasses get so thick they're having to throw spoons or weedless plastics. So right now, friends, all across the state, fishing is really good. If you've got any area you want to contact somebody, contact Cajun Phil. I'll put you in touch with the guys in those areas. CajunPhil@hotmail.com.
The Southwest Outdoors Report is brought to you by Mercury, the official outboard of the Southwest Outdoors Report for 11 years running, by Academy, right stuff, low price, every day, and by Tracker Boats, fish the finest.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the Whataburger Ask the Pro, where viewers have a chance to get insider tips from professional anglers. This week's question is from Roderick in Lake Charles, Louisiana, who asks, what is the proper way to re-spool your reels without getting memory in the line? For the answer, let's check with Bassmaster Elite Angler Shaw Grigsby.
I re-spool every reel the same way. You know, I've heard it like spinning reels, you're supposed to lay the spool down and label up and this and that, but you have to end up flipping it and it twists and all that. Bait casters, you know, you put the spool on a dowel or on a pencil or something and let it revolve, and when you do it, well, I do them all that way. And the easiest way for me is most of the times you buy a line, it comes in a little cardboard box. I just pull the tab out, you know, open it up, pull the spool out, take the line, start it off the spool, and put it back in the box and close the lid. Tie it onto my line, the line onto my other line, or straight onto the reel, and just reel it on. Spinning rod, bait caster, it works great. Just let it spin inside the box. You don't need anybody else around. You can do it by yourself, and it works very, very easily.
Thank you, Shaw. If you have a question for one of the pros, just visit our website at southwestoutdoorsreport.com, follow the Ask the Pro link, and submit your information. Now here's Barry with our winner of the COSTA Catch of the Week.
This week's winner in the COSTA Catch of the Week contest is Ryan Herzog of Buda, Texas, showing off an 8-pound, 2-ounce largemouth bass he caught from a kayak at Lady Bird Lake at Austin, Texas. Congratulations to Ryan. He'll win his choice of any pair of COSTA sunglasses. And you can see those by going to our website, clicking on the COSTA logo right in the middle of the page. That'll take you directly to their website, where you can see all of the frame styles and lens styles, including the frame style that I've been wearing on today's episode, double haul in the camo pattern. And if you'd like to enter our contest, just go to that same website, southwestoutdoorsreport.com, follow the instructions, and you could be a winner in the upcoming weeks. Next up on the Academy Sports and Outdoors Right Stuff feature, we're talking about marine batteries. You know, your batteries out in the boat are arguably the most critical piece of equipment you have. Why? Because without them, nothing else works and you're literally dead in the water. You know, there's a coming revolution in the entire marine battery industry being led by the folks at Exide. AGM is a new term that you'll need to become familiar with. It's a new series of batteries. It's being led by the Vortex series, available at your Academy Sports and Outdoors store and several other marine retailers around our region. They're better than any of their predecessors for a lot of reasons, but I'll give you just three. Number one, they will last longer on one charge than any other battery before them. Number two, they'll charge up faster than any battery before them. Number three, they're sealed and maintenance free, meaning you can mount them either upright or on their side if you have a cramped compartment that you have to mount those in. And one extra little thing, they're more shock resistant than any battery before them. You'll need to see the AGM battery line, including the Vortex cranking and deep cycle batteries, available at your Academy Sports and Outdoors store. You can see them online as well by going to our website at southwestoutdoorsreport.com and clicking on the Exide logo right in the middle of the page. This week on Stuff That Matters, I'd like to talk to you about the second most valuable thing in your life. In my opinion, the most valuable thing in my life and everyone else's is your relationship with God and what you do with His Son Jesus. But beyond that, the second most valuable thing in your life is not money, things, your house, your car, or anything tangible. I would argue that it's the people in your life. It's those relationships with your friends, your neighbors, your family that really matter. And if they matter the second most of anything in your life, it's about time that you and I begin to treat those people like that. Laugh, talk, offer encouragement, give out kind words, do things with people that show them that they carry with them the value that I believe they actually do. You know, the older I get, the more I understand that it's the people in my life that really matter and not the things. Hey, I hope you enjoyed our trip this week out to beautiful Sardis Lake in east central Oklahoma. We did have some difficulties out there on a very short day. I didn't have all day to fish today, just had a few hours, caught one really good fish, some smaller ones, and lost 3 really nice fish. But you know what? Just like my friend Ron Washington, manager of the Rangers, says, that's the way fishing go. Hey, I hope you'll join us on next week's show at 10:30 Thursday night and again Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. And if that time changes, you'll know about it first on the front page of our website at southwestoutdoorsreport.com, where you'll also see the latest episode of our show 24/7, and where you can click on the Facebook logo and get lots of video and photos and the latest breaking news that you won't see here on the television show. And you can always click on the YouTube logo and get all of the archived past episodes of our show and lots of cool how-to videos as well. From Sardis Lake in Oklahoma, until next week, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.